enjoying your morning so far?
Good stuff.
All right. So the title of my lesson today is The Mature Christian. And so today is a special day. We are going to be starting a series in the book of James.
All right.
5-part series. So today's part 1, The Mature Christian. So turn to James chapter 1. The book of James is kind of like a big sermon, or a whole bunch of little sermons, little sermonettes, right? James kind of skips around from topic to topic a little bit unexpectedly, and but it is like choke wisdom and proverb-like teachings throughout the book of James. It's really some really meaty and good stuff. It really helped us to grow to maturity.
Yeah.
Martin Luther, the father of the Protestant Reformation movement, had a big problem with this letter, this book. And he fought to get it removed from the Bible, actually, but he found himself fighting against God, and he failed. It's written as a general epistle, and that's not written to a specific church or to a specific person, like Corinthians was written to the Corinthian church, or Timothy was written to Timothy. It's likely it's one of the earliest books of the New Testament, written in the mid-40s of the first century. And the intended audience was the Jewish Christians who were scattered throughout the Roman Empire. In James chapter 1, verse 1, it says, James, a servant of God and the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes scattered among the nations. The author identifies himself as James. Now, there was a James who was an apostle. He was the son of Zebedee, and he was a brother of John the apostle. It's not likely it was this guy. It was not that James. Herod had him put to death by the sword, that James, in Acts chapter 12, verse 2. And that was right around 44 AD. So it wasn't likely him. The other James we have in the Bible is James, the brother of Jesus. He's a younger brother of Jesus, right? Imagine having Jesus as your older brother. He's the son of Mary and Joseph. And he was not likely a convert during Jesus' life here on earth. It's very likely, actually, that he was with Mary when they came to take Jesus away because they thought Jesus was out of his mind. In 1 Corinthians 15, verse 7, it shows us that Jesus appeared to James. So likely that's when James got converted, when Jesus resurrected from the dead and then appeared to his brothers, like, hey kid bro, it's me. Hookah's in my hand, hookah in my side. James like, I repent. I'll follow Jesus. You know? And later on in Acts 15, verse 6 through 22, it records the wise leadership of James, who was the leader of actually the Jerusalem church. He led the Jerusalem church for a time. And it earned him the title of James the Just. He could have introduced himself as James the Just, brother of Jesus, lead evangelist of the Jerusalem church. But he doesn't. He just introduces himself, James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ. That's pretty cool, man. He didn't use his title. He didn't say, yeah, Jesus is my brother. I lead the church. Y'all need to listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. I was with the man himself. I lead the church, not somebody. He was a great leader and a mature Christian. Yeah. In his letter, as we read through it, as we go through it week after week for 5 weeks, you'll see him striving to bring this persecuted and impoverished church to a spiritual maturity. Today, we begin that journey towards that goal of spiritual maturity. Welcome to the adult world of Christianity. Point number 1, Christians love trials. Pick up our reading in verse 2. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. If any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to him. But when he asks, he must believe and not doubt. Because he who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. That man should not think he will receive anything from the Lord. He's a double-minded man, unstable in all he does. Wow, that's heavy. Being mature and being complete equals being joyful during hard times, during hardships. For the early Christian church, it was poverty, financial problems, and persecution. People were like arresting them and killing them. That's the kind of stuff that they were going through. The secret to being joyful, like for us, we have different challenges. Like, you know, none of us are like filthy rich, so we have financial problems. None of us are trying to be killed for being Christian, but people will give us a hard time for being get persecution, right? But the secret to being joyful for us in these hard times is not perseverance. It's not just getting through it and surviving it and not falling away and getting bitter at God. That's not what the secret is. And the secret is not having this massive amount of faith. That's not what the secret is either. The secret is having wisdom. That's the secret to being joyful in trial. But what is wisdom? Well, wisdom in the Bible is a virtue in a Christian's life that provides insights into the ways and the will of God. What is God like, and what does God want us to do? Possessing that practical, down-to-earth knowledge helps us to navigate through the challenging life situations that each and every one of us face every day. May I ask, where can I get some of this wisdom? How can I buy that? How much will it cost? What app do I need to download onto my smartphone so I can have this awesome wisdom, so I can get through this stuff and not be bummed out about it? Well, I have to tell you, it's super duper expensive. Very pricey. Wisdom is supreme, Proverbs 4:7 says. Proverbs 4:7. Therefore, get wisdom, though it costs all you have. Get understanding. So how do you get it, you might ask? You ask God. For this passage, just gotta ask God and not doubt. How does God give it to you? He puts you through challenging life situations. Trials. Everybody has trials. Everybody has hard times. Not everyone has joy. Not everybody has that. The reason people lack joy in the trials of life is because they don't understand. They don't have the knowledge, they don't have the wisdom about the ways and the will of God. That's why people lack joy. The Bible says they're lacking something, they're lacking wisdom. The Bible is filled from cover to cover with wisdom. The ways and wills of God. It's literally filled with it all throughout. Being a complete and mature Christian filled with faith, love, joy, and wisdom, to get that, we have to read the Bible, know the ways and will of God, and put it in the practice. We have to pick this up, read it, and go and do this. That's how we get wisdom. That's how we gain maturity. That's how we learn to persevere. That's what grows our faith. All these things, it starts with that wisdom. We can't be double-minded. We can't be lacking the proper and necessary ingredients to be healthy and full. Back as a kid, growing up, they had all the Coke and Pepsi products, right? And so people started realizing that they wanted to take some ingredients out of the Coke and the Pepsi because, you know, they didn't want people getting sick, right? They thought it was bad for you. And so now they got Diet Pepsi, they got Coke Zero, they got all these different diet ingredients, right? You know that if you take out the necessary ingredients, the healthy ingredients of a Christian, you take them out, you end up with wisdom light. And you end up with faith zero. Not a good faith zero. You know, the other day I thought about getting some nutrition in me, right? I was kind of tired and down, so I had to go get my well-rounded redneck diet. Right? And so I got all the 3 major food groups for rednecks, all right? So sugar, salt, caffeine. Right? So I had some Twinkies, I had a Slim Jim, and a Red Bull. That was a nice, well-rounded, complete diet, you know what I mean? But that's not good. It's not healthy. If I was to eat that every day, I would die. It's important to get real nutrition, a proper diet, and proper health into your spiritual body. Our physical body is important, yes. And no, please don't go take the redneck diet challenge. Don't get that. You'll get sick. You'll die. It's all bad. And I know I don't eat that regularly. You know, no, a well-rounded, healthy diet is needed to grow to maturity. If a young child were to eat that kind of redneck diet or eat those diet Cokes all the time, they won't grow. They'll stop growing. It'll stunt their growth, literally. We need to eat healthy, mature people, grown-up, adult food from the Bible. That's where we get it. Ingredients for a mature Christian: joy, faith, love, perseverance, wisdom. We need to have these things in our spiritual life to grow to full, healthy, adult, mature Christians. Amen? Amen. You know, James here is not criticizing the person that just occasionally messes up and sins, because we all do that, right? Yeah. What he's doing is he's addressing something more serious. Like if God weren't to answer someone's prayers just because they mess up, then nobody's prayers would get answered, because we all mess up. We all have sin in our life. None of us are perfect. He's addressing a person who is double-minded. He's addressing a person that's not serious about following God and about attaining wisdom. That's the person he's addressing here. A person who's double-minded with one foot in his church and one foot in the world cannot expect to get anything from God. You don't expect anything from God. I'm not going to answer your prayers. We can't be double-minded, focused on the world and God at the same time. We can't serve two masters. We have to be focused on God, and that's it. That's it. Nothing else. That's the most important thing. Everything else is secondary to that. Just God. We don't want to be like a wave. James says, like a wave tossed upon the sea, blown about by the wind, wherever. Right? You know? Followers of Jesus take a noticeably Christian approach to life and life situations. Being a Christian is different than the world's view of running away from hardship and hiding from discomfort. No, we don't fear trials. That's foolish to fear trials, and it's faithless as well. Back in the day, I used to be a commercial fisherman. And so I love this, whenever they talk about waves on the sea, I get all fired up and I think about fishing and diving and stuff like that, surfing, right? So me and my friends, we were on this big giant boat that my dad's had, like 5 or 6 of us on this huge giant boat. And it was an ex-Navy boat that my dad bought at an auction. It has a big giant diesel motor in it, like way overkill. In this tiny little boat harbor with a narrow channel going out to sea. So we go out there, we go night diving, it's at night. It's interesting when you're out at night in the harbors, right? So going back into the harbor, they have red and green channel markers so you don't crash into the rocks as you get into the harbor. And you're supposed to follow this path into the harbor. It leads you to safe haven in the harbor. But when you're out at Honolulu, there's strobe lights, all these other ambient artificial lights that aren't apart from the channel. You can get confused, you can get a bit lost, you know. So we're coming back in the channel, and I was getting lost. I couldn't see the path to get in. And then, of course, we had some problems happening, right? We had some wind, and we had some surf, and then the motor on the boat died. You know how it gets like that in life? One thing after another, your car this, your car that, your kid this, your kid, your job. Well, all of a sudden, you have a whole pile of things. Not just one problem, you got 5 problems. You're like, oh no! And you start getting bummed out, you start getting angry, and we start getting afraid on this boat. We're coming in, and some of the people on the boat are laughing, some were panicking. Some were laughing because they thought it was funny that my boat was going to get dashed to pieces of the rocks. And I'm the captain, right? So I have responsibility for this boat to get everyone to safety. And so I'm like barking orders, you man that line over there, get the oars out over here, you work on the engine. And I literally had to take the line on the bow of the boat and jump into the ocean to save the entire ship and crew. Into the shark-infested waters with no light at night. In this big, deep, 60-foot deep channel with rock cliffs on each side with giant waves breaking everywhere. And I had to jump in and I had to single-handedly pull this boat with my fins and just kicking, and it was scary. I was tripping. And I'm trying to find my way into the harbor, and I'm getting distracted by all the artificial lights away from the channel. It was something else. But we were able to pull it off with teamwork and great leadership and crazy leadership. It was great leadership when we got there in the first place, but amen, we got there. And we survived, we didn't die, we didn't drown, and some of those guys never got to come on the boat again. For us, we can be that way too. We can be like a boat on the sea. We can be tossed around in the waves and blown about by the winds of our emotions. We can get distracted by all the artificial lights rather than focusing on the true light of Jesus and the straight and narrow path to heaven. We can get distracted by the trials. We can get afraid to jump right on in and do what's necessary to be a disciple of Jesus Christ. We can have some fears or trepidation. We just got to do what we got to do. We got to help other people around us. If this church is in trouble, we have got to step up. We've got to man up and woman up. Do what is necessary to get to heaven. This boat, this church is headed in one direction, that's straight to heaven. We're not going to get distracted by the artificial lights of man. We're going to stay on that straight and narrow path. We're not going to be afraid of troubles. We're going to face them biblically, according to the Bible, and we're going to do what's right no matter what anybody else is doing, no matter what anybody else is telling us. We're going to just go forward. Amen? We face our fears and we deal with them head on. That's how we attain maturity. That's how we increase our faith. When we view hardships for what they are, God testing us, God refining our faith, and God equipping us with wisdom, then we can better serve Him and our fellow men. James is a servant, a mature Christian, a servant of our Lord Jesus Christ. Trials are a great reason to rejoice. As a matter of fact, when you're having a trial, you should throw a party. Yeah. 1 Peter chapter 1 and verse 6, we got to turn there, please.
Come on, bro.
1 Peter chapter 1 verse 6, in this you greatly rejoice. Now for a little while you may have had to suffer grief in all kinds of trials. These have come so that your faith, of greater worth than gold, which perishes even though refined by fire, may be proved genuine and may result in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed. Though you have not seen him, you love him. And even though you do not see him now, you believe in him and are filled with an inexpressible and glorious joy. For you are receiving the goal of your faith, the salvation of your souls. Amen. Get fired up that God is refining you and testing you, testing your faith to see if it's worthwhile. The suffering will just be for a little while. You'll get through it. And you can get through it and be fired up about it, knowing that God has a goal in mind for you, the salvation of your souls. If we are learning from our trials, then we are reaching our goal. Maturity and on to heaven. Trials are meant to equip us for acts of service to God, to help each other. James wrote that he's a servant. In our church, we need more servants. There are only a few of us in the church that can lead Bible studies and teaching people the basic fundamentals of Christianity in the Bible. We need more people that can teach these things. So for the rest of us, I'm not down on anybody that can't teach the Bible, but we really need to go out of our way and volunteer, and we're setting up Bible studies, and you should be calling and saying, hey, Austin, when can I get into a Bible study and take some notes for you so I can learn how to teach the Bible to other people like you're doing? When can I do that? Hey, Beth, what's your schedule like this week? I want to help you watch the kids. I want to help take notes in your Bible studies for you. I want to do that. When can I serve God by helping my fellow man learn the Bible? You should be setting up the Bible study with your friends. You should be calling your friends. If you don't know how to teach the Bible, call your friends. If you don't have any friends, go get some friends. Bring them to church. Bring them to meet Jesus. Let them learn the Bible to teach other people the Bible as well. Amen?
Amen.
Point number 2, Christians are prideful. Christians are prideful. It's not false doctrine. Stand by. Verse 9.
Come on, Byron.
The brother in humble circumstances, James chapter 1 verse 9. The brother in humble circumstances ought to take pride in his high position. But the one who is rich should take pride in his low position, because he will pass away like a wild flower, for the sun rises with scorching heat and withers the plant. Its blossoms fall, and its beauty is destroyed. In the same way, the rich man will fade away, even while he goes about his business. Some scholars believe here that James is talking about rich Christians and poor Christians. I disagree. James is likely contrasting Christians to the lost. In James chapter 5, he refers to the rich as being lost. Now, to understand something here does not mean you can't be saved if you're rich. Doesn't mean if you're wealthy or well off that you don't have a chance of going to heaven. That's not what he's talking about. He's just using the rich as an example in this passage. Being wealthy does not equal being lost. But in relation to what James is talking about here, is what he's saying. Christians have something to be prideful about. They have something to boast about. A low position here on earth equals a high position in the afterlife in heaven. People that aren't Christians also have something to boast about. Their high position while they're here on earth, but their low position in the afterlife in hell. Life on earth can be the only heaven you ever know, or it can be the only hell you ever know. Depends on where you're at. For Christians, now we'll go according to Jesus' definition of what a Christian is, not mine. In Matthew 7:21, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. So people that do God's will, those are Christians. As a Christian, we live our life here on earth to do God's will. We put all of our plans, all of our hopes, all of our dreams aside, and we give our life to Jesus here on earth now. So life will be the worst thing you ever go through. It'll be the only hell you ever know. And I don't know about you guys, but when I was driving over side of the road yesterday evening to go to a Bible study in Hilo, I took a look at this hell on earth. And I tell you, it ain't so bad. I think it's beautiful. I love being here on earth. I love the ocean, the mountains, and everything in between. I love all the beautiful people that are in my life. All the amazing relationships that I get to have with each and every one of you and everyone I know. My beautiful wife. My amazing children. If that's the worst it's ever going to be, I'm done. Because heaven's going to be so much better than this. Yes, there's suffering. Yes, there's trials. Yes, there's hard times and bills and broken down cars. But life is incredible as a disciple. I love it here. It's awesome. I do, but I'm looking forward to something even more. Jesus said in heaven, there's going to be no more death. There's going to be no more tears. There's going to be no more sickness, no more pain. It's going to be incredible there. I think being a Christian here is awesome, and being in heaven is double awesome. That's the way I look at it. Now, for non-Christians, and we'll go to Jesus' definition of what a non-Christian is, in Luke 14:33, in the same way, any of you who does not give up everything he has cannot be my disciple. So Jesus here, his definition is anyone who's not doing God's will, anyone who's not willing to give up everything and go anywhere for him, they're not a Christian. They're not saved. You can do whatever you want now. You can follow your own hopes, follow your own dreams. You can go make a bunch of money and get rich. You can go get laid whenever you want. You can smoke that cig weed all you want. Go get high. Enjoy your life while you can. Because this will be the only heaven you will ever know. You might as well just enjoy yourself while you're here as much as you possibly can. The afterlife is going to be really bad, so you better live it up now. Jesus talks about it in Matthew 13, verse 40. As the weeds are pulled up and burned in the fire, so will it be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they'll weed out of his kingdom everything that causes sin and all who do evil. They will throw them into the fiery furnace where there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. This is going to happen at some point in the future. That's heavy. That's hell. At some point, Jesus will send his angels throughout the entire world. Throughout all the churches in the entire world. Throughout all the churches in Kona and throughout this church. His angels are coming through. Praying and reading your Bible a couple of days a week ain't going to keep you safe. Going to church on Sunday ain't going to keep you safe. Putting a couple bucks on a collection plate ain't going to keep you safe. The angel of death is coming. Only those who do the will of my Father will be saved. Only those who have given up everything to follow Jesus will be saved. Everyone else is going to burn. You know, the Nazis had a big part of the history of the planet, right? And there was a guy, he worked at a concentration camp. And the concentration camp is where they would they would conquer these people, and they would collect all these people, and they'd take them to the concentration camp in Auschwitz. Joseph Mengele was also known as the angel of death. He was a wicked, horrible man. Satan and the world twist something like angels and God, and they pervert it. This guy was a perversion of humanity. He was an evil, horrible man. These people were brought in, and they were separated. People that were fit to work, were young enough and strong enough to work, they would force them into slave labor in the concentration camp. Other people, they would just kill them on the spot. They would shoot them. They'd put them in gas chambers in large groups and poison them to death. Or they would burn them. They'd burn their carcasses. And it was a horrible existence. This Joseph Mengele, the angel of death guy, he would take some of the prisoners and he would perform horrible experiments on them. They're trying to create a master race. So they would give these people different kinds of horrible death diseases. And they'd see if they could help them survive and see what genetics could handle different types of diseases. They would pump chemicals and chemical weapons onto them, and they would try to see if they could find vaccinations to cure them so that the soldiers could survive chemical warfare. They would freeze them to death and see if they could bring them back to life. so they can test the effects of hypothermia on people. They'll do bone grafting and transplants of different things. It is a horrible, horrible thing. You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of living a life apart from God in a slave camp and then dying and going to hell. What a horrible existence. That reminds me of a hell on earth and a hell afterwards. That's what it reminds me of. And what a terrible time it was in humanity. The Nazis did horrible, atrocious things. But we can really take a visualization from this. These people were just lived a life of slavery, and we don't want to be like that. We don't live a life of slavery to our job, worshiping our job and being a slave to that, and then die and go to hell too. That's all bad. It's double bad. Being a Christian is double awesome.
Yeah.
Don't be a non-believer and deny Jesus. Don't do that to yourself. It's scary to think that the angels are actually coming. Not only to the world, but to the church as well. It says His kingdom. They're coming to pull the weeds out.
Wow.
That's what's going to happen. And in the churches around us, you can find different types of people that come to church, right? You have the tourists. They just come to with no intention of hanging out, with no intention of being fully committed. They just want to come visit and they don't want to commit. Tourists, right? You got the posers. People that are pretending to be Christians. They come to church and they're living a double life. They have all this sin and they're just pretending. They're posing as a Christian. Then you got the cheerleader Christians, right? They'll cheer you on. They'll pat you on the back, but inside they're going, oh, you should have did this, you should have did that, you should have been better. And they won't lift a finger to help you. The cheerleader Christians. Then you got the spectators, the people that are just watching, eating popcorn, and not lifting a finger, not contributing in any way at all. Man, that's not good. Jesus said you have to obey the will of my Father. Jesus said you have to give up everything and go anywhere for me. A mature Christian takes pride in his low position as a servant to everyone around him or her. Yeah. In this church, we're Ohana. Yeah. We're family. And family, no one gets left behind, right? You don't stitch. Yep. I mean, a mature Christian is an older brother or an older sister to the younger Christians. You buy them lunch, you help them stand up to the bully at their work or their school. You know, a mature Christian is a caring uncle or auntie in the church, a shoulder to cry on, giving them a ride to work, so giving them some life advice. A mature Christian is a loving mom or pop in the church, right? Pick up the pieces when your whole world comes crashing down, and you blew it big time. Big time. And you need that mom and pop to just say, come here, it's okay, I'll help you. I'll help you pick up the pieces of your life and put it back together. We don't bring visitors to our church. We bring our friends to meet our family, because that's what we are here. And I lift up the disciples in our church. They're incredible, amazing people. You know, Alex is already, he just started coming back to church, and he's already giving people rides, already helping people out. I see Austin, he didn't have a truck for a while, he just got his truck, and he came with a boatload of people to church today in the back of his truck. You know, tomorrow we get an opportunity to help the theater out. That helps us out by letting us use this facility. We're going to use our trucks, we're going to load it up, and that's what we do. That's what we do in this family. We help each other out. Yeah. We're not just acquaintances on Sunday and the rest of the week we don't know each other. No, we're family. We're in each other's lives. We love each other. We care about each other. Nobody gets left behind in this family. Amen? Amen. Point number 3, my final point, the evil desires of Christians. Continuing our reading in James chapter 1 and verse 13. When tempted, no one should say, God is tempting me, for God cannot be tempted by evil. Nor does He tempt anyone, but each one is tempted when by his own evil desire he is dragged away and enticed. Then, after desire is conceived, it gives birth to sin. And sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death. Woo, that's heavy. Yeah. James writes this to anyone that has the audacity to blame God for the mess they created in their own life. Wow. The popular thinking is these days, this is the philosophical thinking, if there's a God, why did He create sin? Well, it's true that God created us with all the desires of the flesh in us. And then He plopped us down here on this earth. And He created everything on this earth, right? He created it all. But what God did not do is create anything or anyone with an intention for us to use it for evil. Yeah. That's not what God did. And yet here we are today with sin everywhere. It's our desire in our hearts that give birth to and conceive sin. He created fire. God did create that. He created it for warmth, so we could keep warm in the wintertime. He created so we could cook steaks, because steaks are awesome.
Come on.
Satan and the world, they take that, they twist it and pervert it into something that God had never intended it to be used for. Way back in the Bible, this ain't new. It's not new. Jeremiah 19, it says, they have built the high places of Baal to burn their sons in the fire as offerings to Baal. Something I did not command or mention, nor did it enter my mind. Some of the things that we do as humans blows God's mind. It's like, I didn't even think of that. How did you think of that? What's wrong with you guys? I didn't make fire so you could kill your kids in it. What's wrong with you people? Bakalova, it's a weed. It's a weed. God did not create it to be burned and smoked. Sinful people with an evil desire in their heart to escape reality and get high, perverted it. They genetically modify it even to make it more potent. Then they make it popular, legalize it, and make it acceptable for everybody to use. The result, an entire generation in danger of being mentally retarded, lazy, and unmotivated. 420, stay off the road, potheads. Don't kill my kids where you're driving. If you are dying of cancer and are on your deathbed and you need some marijuana oil to help you survive and die without too much pain, who am I to say? But so much people out there, I got the medical marijuana card because of the headaches. Take an aspirin, suck it up. That's it. God did not allow us to have modern technology, like the cell phone and the internet, to spread pornography. And yet that's what it's mostly used for.
Yeah.
God did not create beautiful women for us men to casually have sex with and discard them like an old rag.
Yeah.
That's not why God made beautiful women. God created all of these incredibly awesome things on earth for us as women and men to enjoy and to use for our benefits, to have a good and happy and healthy life. Righteously and purely, not for evil and wickedness and selfishness and greed, not for perversion. That's not why he did these things. Sin, it always starts off small.
Yeah.
Like a little baby or a little desire. Then it escalates into this wayward teenager. And then it matures into an adult horror.
Okay.
That's what sin does. Any of y'all see the Alien movie trilogy? Sigourney Weaver back in the day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What it was they found these, they were in space, right? Sci-fi movie. They found these aliens. And so these little aliens, they look like little crab creatures, and they'll jump on your face, and they'll put an egg down your throat into your stomach. And then the egg grows in your stomach over a period of a few days, and it matures into this creature in their stomachs. And it has fangs and claws, and it has acid for saliva. And it rips the way out of your stomach, kills you, kills all your friends, and it goes and hides in the corridors, and it turns into this big giant queen alien. And then the queen alien drops a bunch of eggs with more little crab creatures, and then it takes over the entire planet and destroys everything and everybody. What an awesome movie it was. That's not real. Is it real?
No.
Kill your sin while it's inside you.
Yeah.
Don't let it give birth and eat you. It will grow to maturity, turn into a queen alien, create more sin, and kill and destroy everybody and everything you know. That's what sin will do. We got to kill our sin before it breeds and multiplies. Amen?
Yeah. Come on.
You know Mark Twain, the great American author, he wrote a little thing he wrote about kids. He said, when you have a kid, put it in a barrel, put a hole in the top of the barrel, and then put food in there. When the kid turns 15, close up the hole. That's what Mark Twain said about kids. Don't do that with your kids. This is what Mark Twain said. Some of us, we try to feed our sin baby. Some of us, we try to mature our sin baby into a mature teenager and then into an adult. Sin ain't no chia pet. Just kill it. Kill it while it's inside you. Just get rid of it. Just say no to godliness. God destroyed the whole world because of people that fed and nourished and matured their sins. He destroyed everything back in Genesis, in the very beginning of the Bible. Verse 5 of chapter 6. The Lord saw how great man's wickedness on earth had become, and that every inclination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil all the time. The Lord was grieved that he had made man on the earth, and his heart was filled with pain. Because of the sin, God wished that he didn't even create humans. Our sin causes God pain in his heart. It hurts him. In 2 Peter, at the end of the Bible, by these waters, also the world at that time was deluged and destroyed. So God destroyed the world back then. Verse 7, by the same word, the present heavens and earth are reserved for fire, being kept for the day of judgment and the destruction of godly men. God's going to destroy the world again. For the same reason he destroyed the first time, because of sin. Only this time he's going to use fire instead of water. Sin is going to eventually devour the whole world. That's what's going to happen. God told Cain, God always warns his people. God always warns the disciples. Through the prophets in the Old Testament and the apostles in the New, he always warns us before he destroys us. If you read the Old Testament, before the Israelites would get destroyed and attacked by their enemies, God would send a prophet to warn and warn and warn and warn. And then they wouldn't repent and God would destroy them just like he said he would do. God warned the first murderer. Chapter 4, verse 7 in Genesis, if you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must master it. You must master it. A mature Christian understands that we all have evil desires. But we must master them. And not let them come out in our lives, in our words, in our behavior. You must master. You gotta just say no to sin and say yes to righteousness. In closing, James chapter 2, verse 16. I know that was kind of like, bam, bam, bam. 3 like, oh my gosh, how am I going to walk out of here like I put this load on me? But I got some good news for y'all. Come on. I got some good news. Verse 16. Don't be deceived, my dear brothers and sisters. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. He chose to give us birth through the word of truth, that he might be a kind of first fruits of all he created. Wow. Everything good comes from God. This beautiful island, all the beautiful people that we get to meet are amazing and cute and beautiful little children. All these good things, all the good relationships, the good life we can live. God has given it all to us so we can be kind of a first fruit for him. Something pleasing and joyful for him and for each other. We can have that. We can have that life here on earth and in heaven forever. We got to do what's right. Yeah. Especially the trials and hardships. And I think it's the hardest thing for all of us. I know it's for me. The most difficult thing for me as a disciple is being joyful when things aren't going the way I want. Yeah. That's why I'm writing this lesson. I wrote this lesson for me. I'm sharing it with you guys. You're welcome. You know, God created us and he gave us all birth. We're here. He loves us. We're precious to him. We're valuable to him. He did not create us to be a slave to the world or to be used by Satan. That's not what God did. He didn't create us to be double-minded and follow slave masters like jobs and our money and relationships and our emotions. That's not what God did. He created us to do great things for humanity, for everyone around the world. To resist and to master our sin so we can free ourselves up to serve God and help our friends resist and master sin. Yeah. Think of all the good you can do with the technology you have in your pocket. You don't have to look at porn. You can spread the gospel message of Jesus by inviting people, texting them to come to the church, blowing it up on Facebook or whatever. Invite your friends. That's why God made you. For something meaningful, for something amazing. Not for death, destruction, and experiments. That's what God created for. Whenever we go through trials, we have to realize it's God refining us, maturing us, so we can do even greater things for him. That's what God is doing. God is working hard in your life right now, so you can do awesome things for him, and you can live an awesome life. To be a well-rounded and mature Christian. Complete. Not lacking anything. Yeah. He'll give everything you need. It's all right here. It's all right here. Love you guys. Thank you. Amen. Amen.